lot of people, I think especially in your generation, when they hear the word ego, they think of egotistical, self-centered, cocky, like it's all about me. Ego is actually something that protects us. In other words, like, I don't want my son to see me hurting or stressed or overwhelmed. So I'm just going to kind of like keep him here, like kind of at arm's length, and just tell him I'm okay and just leave it at that.
I always want people to open it to me, because that way I feel like, well, it's not bothering me. I want them to feel better, because it kills me to see my friends, my girlfriend, you, mom, even my brothers, just to see them having a bad day.
Yeah.
And I feel like if they don't let it go or somehow cope with it in a way, it's not gonna do any better for them or for any of us around.
This conversation right here, dude, is really important. I think for a lot of dudes and a lot of kids, I feel like I'd be burdening you. And I know that's the story I tell myself. That's not anything that you do. Nothing. In fact, that's probably my own BS story. What's up, E?
What's up?
How you doing, man?
I'm doing really well. How about you?
A long time no see.
Yeah, it's like it's been a full 12 hours.
Well, I mean, not even that long, because like we live in the same house.
8 hours.
Yeah. Oh, man. So we're at the end of June already. You believe that? This is our last show in June, or is our fourth show?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy to think about. Like, feels like it's almost flown by a little bit, you know?
It has. It definitely has. And last night, I got to tell you, last week, we recorded a show and we were outside. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was fun.
Awesome. We got to do that again.
We do. We had the ducks in the background. We had the Fast and the Furious in the background. We had
crazy people.
We heard some screaming, some yelling. It was hilarious. But today, what we're doing, so last week we did a show all around the 3 lessons that you wish you would have learned earlier.
Yeah.
Right. And I think I always love shows like this, because it's almost like if you could go back and have a conversation with yourself, and give yourself some advice, what would you tell yourself? So, can I share a question that I ask some people every now and again?
Yeah.
Especially people who have been married for like a long time, like kind of like older people.
Mm-hmm.
I always ask people, I'm like, hey, if you could call yourself like your 25-year-old self and ask yourself out to dinner, and you're literally sitting across from yourself, and it's you at 25 and you at, let's say 55, right? And you had the opportunity to pour some words of wisdom into yourself, what would you say? And it's a really, like, when you put that visualization to it, it just sort of adds a little bit of flavor and some context versus like, what advice would you give yourself, if you could? So does that, when you have the visualization, like, think about this for a second. You're 19.
Mm-hmm.
You take your 9-year-old self out to Starbucks, where you used to get like, what did you used to get you when you were little? What was your jam?
Cake pops.
The cake pops. Yeah. Take yourself out for a cake pop and maybe something to drink. But can you imagine like what it'd be like sitting across from your 9-year-old self?
Honestly, that would be a very interesting conversation. I would be like, I can't believe I'm sitting across myself,
Yeah, right.
But you also like want to give yourself advice on like what to be aware of and whatnot,
For sure.
And like lesson stuff, not like what's happening in the future.
I know. I bet your 9-year-old self would be like, I'm a very good-looking 19-year-old.
No, he'd probably be like, who is this guy?
He looks just like me. But, so that's what today's context is all about. But hey, real quick, we're going to give a shout out to First Form, our sponsor for the show. And I've been doing something here a little bit different. I've been rehabbing my knee, and, your mom has been taking collagen for a really long time. And I'm like, collagen, hair, skin, and nails. Like, that's what it always talks about. And I always kind of thought as collagen is more like this sort of girly girl protein.
Girly girl protein.
Girly girl protein, because it's like hair, skin, and nails.
Oh my gosh.
But I'll tell you, I've done a lot of research with it. I've implemented into my regimen now for, I guess, the past month and a half, ever since I got hurt. And I've really done some research on it. And ligaments, tendons, recovery, collagen is a must. So I've really kind of battled with like, how do I mix this? So what I've been doing, and it tastes delicious, is I mix the French vanilla collagen in with 2% Greek yogurt, which already that 3/4 of a cup has 17 grams of protein, and then 1 scoop of the collagen has 15. So it's like 32 grams of protein. I mix that up, and then I usually put in some Doc berries.
Doc berries.
Shout out to our guy Fraser, Doc berries from New Zealand. Larry, you want to eat lots of Doc berries. They're rich in antioxidants. But I've been putting that into just like my mid-morning snack, and I'll tell you, man, it is quite delicious.
Is it?
Yeah, it's really, really good, but you're just trying to add some variety and repair. But go check that out if you guys aren't taking collagen. Go check out First Form and their collagen products. They have all kinds of different flavors. They even have salted caramel, which if you're a coffee person and you like that caramel coffee, you can put a scoop of that in there. And the cool thing is it's got the consistency of like non-dairy creamer, so you can like just stir it up, and it's quite delicious.
I'm not much of a coffee person, but that sounds pretty good.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. But guys, you can check out everything they're doing. Go over to firstform.com/dadedge. Orders over $75, you get free shipping. $150, you'll get normally like you'll get some sort of surprise, whether it's a variety pack of their energy drinks, and then I think it's orders over $250, you get a free t-shirt. You'll get all 3. So go check them out. They're awesome. They are the best on the planet. Been a customer of theirs for 16 years.
16?
Yeah, since 2009.
Holy cow.
Been taking their stuff. So I love their stuff. But all right, let's get into today's podcast. So one of the things that I think I would have loved to have learned earlier was exactly what we were talking about last week, is how we ended the show, which is I would have asked for help earlier. Because I think that's kind of like a dude thing.
Yeah.
Like we don't like to ask for help. I mean, even people like even guys your age, right?
Yeah.
They don't like
They're like the provider, the helper, you know. They want to help fix things. They don't, and that kind of like gets in the way of when we just need to be there to listen, you know.
We do, and I think guys can do better with that one. You know,
Yeah.
we have a tough time with that one. And I'll tell you, me in particular, like I had a really hard time with it. I remember, you know, when people would ask you like, "Hey man, how you doing?" "Fine." You know, "How's life?" "Oh, we're busy." "Yeah." "How's work?" "Oh, it's good." You know, it's like all
The
these
one-word answers.
The one-word answers: good, fine, busy. You know, good, fine, busy.
Good, fine, busy.
Good, fine, busy. But I'll tell you, I think there's a lot of context around, like, not that you want to complain and, you know, all that good stuff, or be negative. But I think it's also good to have people where you can have depth with, you know, and ask for help. And one of the things that I've learned is that, and we talked about this last week, is that when we ask for help, especially another man, the cool thing about that is, number one, we sort of unpack whatever it is we're carrying. So have you rucked or had a weighted vest?
I've put one on, but I've never like worked out with one on.
No. Oh, you just did the Memorial Day Murph, by the way.
I
Let's
did.
Real quick, segue. Let's talk about that real quick.
Okay.
The Murph. Like, so you went out there and did that all by yourself. You know, you're supposed to actually do that with a weighted vest.
Yeah. So, well, I'm not there just yet
Yeah.
because, you know, that's like a whole nother level, but I'm going to get there someday. I
It's
just
tough.
need to get my hands on one, and I think next year I should do it with like maybe a little bit lighter weight, like something, well, with weight on, just not 20 pounds.
Yeah.
Maybe start with like, I don't know. Is there like a 5-pound weight vest?
I mean, you can get weight vests and you can get ones with no weight, and then you can actually like put like these little weighted things in them,
Oh.
like little plates and stuff like that.
Okay.
So you can do that. I actually have. Mom got me a 25-pound weighted vest. She got
Really?
it for me for my Father's Day last year.
I might have to take it from you.
So I'll tell you, when you like walk with it or whatever, it's really good. But here's the truth be told, I've done the Murph many times. I've only done it once with a weighted vest. I was so sore.
I'm sure you were.
Oh my God. It's like takes that thing to a whole new level.
Yeah.
So, but it was,
Actually, so I went to Supplement Superstores not so long ago,
yeah.
and this is like right after the Murph, and he was like, "Yeah, I did it with a 45-pound weight vest."
45 pounds?
Yeah, I was like, "Holy cow, that's like a whole nother level." He's like, "Yeah, I'm still sore."
I mean, that's like carrying around like a toddler, or like, no, it's like a 6-year-old. Like,
It's like a 6-year-old. It's like carrying a 6-year-old on your shoulders the whole time.
"Hey, son, get on my back. Let's do some pull-ups." That's my best Peter Griffin, by the way. But anyway, back to like rucksacks. You know, like a lot of times, like the problems that we carry, like they feel like a rucksack. You know, and when we unpack those things, especially with a trusted advisor, a mentor, a friend, a coach, therapist, a parent, a couple of things happen. Number one, we feel better, right? We sort of just unpack that. We're able to think. The other thing about that, when we're able to think more, I think about problems or things that we're carrying. Like I've used this analogy, and I can't remember if I've ever told you this analogy, but like think of like 10 ping pong balls in your mind, and they're all thoughts, and they're all thoughts of like stress in a way. And it's just like, you can really only focus on one of those at a time. And it's just like, oh, I got that going on. Yeah, I got that going on too. Oh crap, I had that. And then there's that too. And then, you know what I mean? And it's like ping, 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 ping.
Yes.
And I think when you sit down and you take that sort of mental load off and you talk about it with somebody else, it's almost like you take each one of those ping pong balls and you're able to just sort of organize them and bring them down, and they don't feel like they're pinging in your mind, but they feel like they're more well organized. And then the other advantage to that is, and this is one thing I've noticed, it's almost like, don't take a compliment or a privilege away from another man. And when you ask for help or advice from a trusted friend, an advisor, a brother, a parent, you're actually complimenting that other person tremendously, because you're basically saying like, I look up to you.
Yeah.
Like I value your opinion and your advice. Otherwise I probably wouldn't talk to you. Have you noticed that even with your own friends?
Yes, actually. So I've actually, like, when we were talking about this last week, but like whenever I was, like if someone comes to me for help, I'm always just like, yes, go.
But talk about that feeling though. Like, what is it like for you?
It almost just like they are coming to me for help because they need someone to talk to, maybe something to get off their chest, maybe just a little advice. And, I'm 19. I'm not all that experienced with a whole lot of things, but it's kind of cool that I kind of get that from some people. So I was just like, this is awesome. I feel like I'm actually helping someone. I just hope it works. That's kind of my thoughts.
What if I told you this though? What if I told you that sometimes you don't have to solve a problem and you don't have to give advice, and sometimes the greatest gift you can give someone is just unloading that rucksack or just organizing those ping pong balls, and they walk. Have you ever, let me ask you this. Have you ever just, and maybe your girlfriend or, I don't know if we can say her name on the podcast, maybe we shouldn't, but like your girlfriend, just out of privacy, your girlfriend or a friend, and then, they sit down, they talk, and they're talking and they're talking and they're talking. And all you're really doing is kind of listening and validating. You never gave advice. And then they say something like, oh, I feel so much better. Thank you so much for talking to me. I feel like I could tell you anything. And you're sitting there like, did I do anything? Have you ever had that before?
Yes, actually. So whenever me and my girlfriend started dating, I made the mistake of not really listening and more of like trying to fix it, because that's kind of like what we're wired to do. But she's in college and she wanted to go see a football game that was in a different state, and they had to drive like 8 hours to go see it or something like that. I can't remember if it was 8 hours or not, but it was a long drive basically. And they all of a sudden, most of them were like, I don't even want to know. I don't even want to go anymore. And so she was like, she had this big group of friends that were about ready to go for the weekend. And then now they're like not wanting to do it anymore halfway through the week. And so she's upset. She's telling me all about it. And I'm like trying to fix it. Like, what if you do this? Oh, what if you do this? What if I do this for you? And then she's like, Ethan, stop. Just listen to me. She like kind of snapped at me. And I was like, what? What did I do? She's like, you're not listening. I'm like, I am listening. She's like, no, you're giving me advice. That's not listening. I'm like, oh yeah, I should have listened. I'm sorry. She's like, it's okay. I'll call you later. And then
Well, the funny thing is that I think we as men, we listen for words, right? We don't really listen for what they're feeling.
Yeah.
Right. And when people talk, especially a man and woman, boyfriend, girlfriend, husband and wife, they're really after one thing. Not you listening to my words. I need to connect with you.
Yeah.
And the best way to connect is to just understand what that person's emotionally going through, and maybe even to validate what it is that they're going through.
Yeah.
And plus, this is what I've learned too, that if we're thinking about fixing it, the other person, or if we start talking about fixing it, the other person is thinking like, are you even listening to me, or are you just thinking about how to fix this?
Yeah.
It's like you're half listening.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. They start talking. You're just like, oh, I could do this for them. And then you're just like not listening anymore.
Right.
But I actually, can I go ahead and say this real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Like, I started listening, like actually listening. And I actually started doing this with all my other friends because, maybe some advice would be good to just wait until after they're done getting everything off their chest, But like, what I would do is, I'm pretty sure you taught me this actually. What I would do is I would try and put myself in their shoes. That way they don't feel like they're alone. Like if one of my friends or my girlfriend had a rough day, I'm just like, I totally understand what that feels like. Like just a couple days ago, this happened to me, so I know exactly how you feel. I'm not saying I'm comparing my problems, but I know exactly what you're going through right now, and I'm here for you. So I wouldn't compare like, oh well, you're going through that. Well, last week this happened to me. Like, what's your problem?
Yeah, no, it's like, because then the person just thinks, well, suddenly it's about you and it's not about them.
Yeah.
Yeah, but exactly. what you're actually trying to do is relate to them.
Exactly.
Yeah, so, one of the things that we've learned over the years is when it comes to something like that, like when you're validating, it's like you can, especially if it's something frustrating, right? You could say, oh man, that feels, that's frustrating, right? Yeah. And anybody in your situation would be just as frustrated. Mm-hmm. Like sometimes that's all you have to say. You don't have to share a story about it or anything like that. Be like, yeah, anybody going through what you're going through would be frustrated as well.
I have an example actually.
Okay,
this just came to my mind.
Yeah.
I just really need to share this. But basically, my girlfriend, her parents went on a long trip not so long ago, and it was just her and her brother at home. And they have 2 dogs, and they're like puppies.
Moosin',
yes. Moosin' and Gus. And Moose has a problem with throwing up sometimes in the morning.
Is he a big drinker?
Yes, he chugs his water. He chugs his water in the morning.
Somebody's putting beer in my dog bowl.
But he so Megan was waking up to both the dogs barking at like 7 a.m. before she even has work at like in the afternoon. So she's like, I really wanted to sleep in, but now I have to take care of my dogs at 7 a.m. And then like one of the dogs would throw up on the stairs or on the carpet or something, and then I'm like, I know exactly how that feels. It's like, oh yeah, well have you ever had a dog that would bark at 7 a.m. and then you have to clean up his puke? I was like, actually, yes. We used to have a dog where I would get up first, and if he heard you, he would start whining until you got him out of his crate, took him out, and he would do this routine thing where he would chug his water and throw up right by the front door. And I would have to clean it up because I was the only one up. And she was like, oh.
Was that Grizz?
Yes. Yes, actually, it was. It was routine. It was freshman year. It was before Mason had him in his room. And he would be right by the pool table outside of each other's rooms, and I would have to be super quiet not to wake him. And sometimes I would have to listen for him, like if he would start whining, because that's basically meaning like, I'm ready to get up now. I need to go to the bathroom. I want to eat some food. And I would get him up. His dog bowl would be, his like food bowl would be full, water, food, and then he would eat as fast as he can, drink as fast as he can, and then go to the bathroom. As soon as he would get to the front door before I'd let him out, he would throw it all up. And I'm just like, oh, Grizz. And it's like 5:45 in the morning because I had to get up really early first semester because of marching band. It started like 6:30 in the morning, and I need to get up really early, especially to let Grizz out. But like, I was the only one up, and I was just like, oh, Grizz, you stupid dog. He was like 2.
That will derail your morning. It reminds me of another Family Guy type of thing where Stewie, is drunk for the first time, and he's like, What are you talking about? I have never felt better. And he's like, oh, now I've never felt better.
I don't really remember that episode. I know which one you're talking about. I just haven't seen the whole one.
Oh my God.
Oh, Brad, I was looking all over the table for you.
Wait, that was like rude to the you other people in the other room.
Where's the radio at?
Oh my God, this is great. But yeah, so man, we really derailed. But yeah, that goes back to asking for help.
Yes. Basically, long story short,
Yeah.
she was just like, "Have you ever had that happen?" I was like, "Yes, actually,
Yes.
I have." And then I told her a story, and she was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
now I feel connected to you."
Well, yeah, it's like that you get that relatability,
Yeah.
which is good. So I'm gonna get to here to the next one, which is without connection, I have no influence. So I'll give you an example of this. So you use 2 words, I would say almost on a daily basis, if not a few times a week. And I have to tell you, it is awesome and endearing and wonderful. And it's let's talk.
Yeah.
I love that. And you're 19 years old. And basically I think if I think I'm being accurate with this, that is like maybe your way of like, I'd like to connect, download my day, just go back and forth. And it probably maybe brings you peace.
Yes,
like when we
it
talk,
does.
right?
Like,
Okay.
I remember when we were younger. Well, when I was younger, like when I was like really little, first, second, third grade, every single night before we go to bed, you would talk with us. And sometimes I would, like, after you leave, I'd be like, that was so awesome. I really like that talk.
Do you remember how old you were? Like
was
around,
like
when you were feeling
7, 8, 9, 10 years old.
what kind of stuff what kind of stuff was meaningful to you? Like what kind of
just
stuff did we
like,
talk about?
from what I can remember, like just about the day and just stories we would just talk about throughout, like just past or present, you know what I mean? Like if I was having a rough day, you'd be like, well, if you want to hear a rough day, I can tell you this one story. When I was in middle school,
Didn't we just talk about the not so powerful thing of one-upping the person you're talking to? But it sounds like I did that to you.
that's not what I'm saying though.
I
Like
know.
you were like, if I was having a rough day at school, like someone picked on me at school, you'd be like, well, let me tell you about how this bully did this to me.
Yeah.
So like you were relating to me, not wanting up me.
Yeah, no, so yeah, I mean, so it was really just downloading about the day, right?
Yeah.
And just stories and connection and that kind
Yes.
of thing. Yeah. That's awesome to hear that. You know, that was it was meaningful to me too. It still is meaningful to this day. And I think what a lot of parents do, like I remember how I was raised, and I think a lot of people are kind of raised this way in my generation, where it was more like X's and O's, which basically it's like, it's the football coach and it's like, we're going to do this. This is the drill. This is what we're doing. It's more like managerial, like do this, do that, do your homework. Okay. Your grades are good. Okay, fine. Go play with your friends. Cool. Great. Okay. Now into baseball practice. Never like, hey man, like what was the best part of your day today?
Yeah.
Like what was something that meaningful that happened to you today, and just getting a story instead of the X's and O's, like the tactical things. And I'll tell you that I think a lot of us as parents, we try to have influence. We try to motivate our kids or get them to do something or whatever it is. But you tell me from your perspective, like I'm sure there's been times in our relationship, no doubt about it, that I've been that X and O parent where I have been maybe, there's been seasons and times where we've been really connected, and then there have been seasons and times where maybe you feel like I'm just going through the motions, right? And it's probably in those seasons that I'm going through the motions that my words probably don't have nearly as much influence on you. Is that pretty accurate?
Yeah, actually, can I give an example?
Please, yeah,
This
yeah.
will be short too. Like,
No,
I don't
yeah,
wanna
go ahead.
derail, but like this is recently. This was like during my wrestling season. It was just go go go, and it was like get one parent one place. Like Colton had hockey. I had wrestling. Lawson and Mason. Do you remember what they did?
So Lawson was doing football as well.
Was he doing D1 training?
He was doing D1 training, and he was just ending up with, he just got done with football.
Yeah.
And then Mason had just got done with football. So he was kind of like, but during the fall time, we had 4 of you guys in crazy busy activities.
Yeah, like during the fall, it was me with my band stuff because I was drum major.
Right.
Mason with football games, Lawson with football games.
But you're right. I think I know what you're talking about, like the wrestling thing. So we were still in hockey season with Colton. And for all of you people out there who have kids in hockey, You should all sent me a memo that hockey is a part-time like job. It is like demanding. And I'll tell you, Lawson was in D1 training. Colton was in hockey. You were in wrestling. And yeah, it was like divide and conquer. It was literally X's and O's. But I've never heard this experience from you. So go ahead, please tell me.
But yeah, that was like, it wasn't like we really had that much time to talk. I think there was a few times where I would like ask like, can we talk before bed? And you're just like, I'm exhausted. It's like 10:30 at night. Do you think we could wait another day to do that, please? I was like, yeah, sure, that's fine. I understand. Because I wasn't like, oh, okay, fine. Or like, you don't love me anymore type thing. It was just like, well, you were clearly exhausted. I didn't have a whole lot to do except wrestling practice, and you had to take 3 other people different places at different times, and you still work on top of that. I can understand why you feel this way. So I'm gonna let you go ahead and decompress for the night, and I'm just gonna wait for the next time we can talk.
I'll tell you, man, from my perspective too, like the guilt factor and sometimes like I feel ashamed saying that. I really, really do. Like I feel ashamed being like, oh my God, like I didn't take that opportunity and I should have even taken like a few minutes. And in that season, and this is absolutely no excuse, in that season, the exhaustion rate of me and your mom was next level. We actually said in 18 years of parenting, we have never been that exhausted where it was go, go, go. No one had a break. And, but I'll tell you, that I'm sorry about that.
How dare you?
I know. No,
I'm kidding.
I mean, I am sorry about that because I like to think that I'm the type of dad that like I always do want to talk to you, like that my door is always open, even if I'm in a sort of a bad headspace or anything like that. My door is always open to you, even if it doesn't feel like it or seem like it. And if, to be honest with you, man, if I could take those times back, I would have been like, Dad's really tired, he's really spent, but yes, let's spend a few minutes talking and catching up. And but yeah, the funny thing, you want to hear something really kind of funny?
Yeah.
Is so your mom, I think your mom is kind of known as the quick goodnight.
Yes. Well, sometimes like lately we've been talking a lot more.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah, but
that's just that's her style. It's not right or wrong, but that's just her style.
Yeah.
I'm more the long good night, and like sometimes like when I go to say good night to you guys, like, I think a few times even it was on those occasions where, mom would be like, I'm really tired. I would really like to catch up with you too. So can you not make it a long good night tonight with the kids? Can you come and talk to me?
Yeah.
And there was like this dichotomy that I was battling at that time too of like, okay, how do you give full on attention to 4 boys and then not neglect your mom, at the same time? And that was a delicate dance. And she would always, even today, she was like, so is tonight going to be a long good night or a short one? Like, I'm really tired. I would like to talk. Cause when we lay in bed, we talk and we catch up too. And sometimes, your mom, dude, when she turns into a pumpkin when she's tired, and she's
a pumpkin.
That's a saying of basically like when someone's tired, they're done.
Yeah.
They're cooked, So I don't even know why that is. I think was it Cinderella or something like that, where the horse and carriage turns into a pumpkin.
I don't even remember.
Yeah.
Cinderella, like I never grew up watching all those princess movies.
Me neither. I don't even know if it's Cinderella or Snow White. I have no clue. But anyway, so that's what without connection, there is no influence. So it's always about connecting first, and then it's about it's about influence after that. It's like, how can I create an incredible bond with this kid? So then when I do need to discipline, or when I do need to do something or say something, will they take it to heart?
Yeah.
That kind of thing. The last and final, and I'd love to get your perspective on this one, because you have a very different view of this one. So I remember when we first had you, and then little bowling ball Mason came around, and I remember how busy we were in those first 2 years of being parents. And then when you're a parent, you automatically sort of like hit this button of like, it's all about the kids. It's not about us anymore. It's not about me and mom. It's all about the kids. And I think that there's some truth to that, especially when the kids are little. But I think what a lot of people do, and I've seen this over the years, now that me and mom have been married for over 2 decades, and I've been doing this work for a decade, that when people start having kids, they neglect their marriage. They literally take the marriage, they put it on the back burner, the kids come first, which the kids do need to be a priority, but they completely neglect their marriage. And it's almost like in some cases, we use the kids as the reason why we can't connect. And the thing that I wish I would have learned earlier on, that creating a peaceful home actually starts with me and mom. I think I look at me and mom's relationship in our marriage as like the foundation of this house, like the concrete foundation of this house. And what happens if there's a crappy foundation on this house?
It'll just break right there.
Yeah, the house crumbles, right? The house crumbles. And what I think a lot of people do is they try to build, these other rooms and these other levels and all this other stuff, kids and all these other things, without keeping that foundation strong. And we paid for that in the first 10 years that we were married. And we thought we were doing it wrong because by putting our marriage first, we thought that was selfish. But we actually need to keep our marriage first because, in my perspective, maybe you share this, maybe you don't, but in my mom and dad's house, like I say dad's plural because there was always dudes in and out.
Yeah.
But there was always this element of, not always, but I would say 85% of the time, there was animosity, there was tension, there was fighting, there was arguing, there was bickering, there was name calling, there was complete and total chaos and disarray within my mom's relationships. And I found myself not really wanting to be there, not really wanting to be around, because I just felt that tension, or I'd hear it. And it was almost like there was this feeling of unsafety, like not that, just unease at all times. Now, flip the script over my grandma and grandpa's house. I would spend quite a bit of time over there. They only lived a mile from us. My grandfather and my grandmother had this really great marriage, and they were married for 53 years before my grandfather died. And my grandpa, even at 70 years old, I would sit there at the morning breakfast table with them on a Sunday morning. And I would always, I knew what my grandfather would do. He was like a blue collar, tough, truck driver and man's man, fix things, but he was so loving, so affectionate, even with me. He'd always hug me. He'd always kiss me. He always would, kind of pat me and put his arm around me or something like that. And it just meant the world to me. But what meant the world really too was when I'd be sitting with them at the breakfast table, and it happened all the time. My grandfather would reach over and grab my grandmother's hand and kind of like give her this, smile, and he would just look at her and he'd like pat her hand and be like, you're so beautiful. You're just so beautiful. Look at you. You're so beautiful. I just love you.
Oh my gosh.
And my grandmother would just like come to life, and she'd be like, she'd get like this giddy smile,
like start blushing.
She did. And God bless my grandmother. She had a stroke when she was 52. So like she kind of like lost a little bit of, she lost a lot of control like in her face. And so she kind of had this sort of half smile, but she was so happy. She'd always be like this. And she would just like, she's like, oh, she'd just get all giddy. And then there were times, man, where she would like get up, and walk by him, and he would like slap her on the butt, and he'd like pull her on top of his lap, and he'd just be like, kiss her on her cheek. And I'm like, and dude, they were like in their 60s and 70s. My grandfather did that all the time, and he would always compliment my grandmother, always, and how much he loved her, how much she meant to him. And my grandmother would reciprocate. And there was a feeling that I got in that house that I didn't get at home. And it was kind of euphoric. It was almost like, man, this is like, feels like a happy family. This feels like a house I want to be in. Mm-hmm. And so anyway, I think when a lot of people, when they don't cultivate like that really fantastic marriage, I think the kids kind of miss out a little bit. But I mean, you've seen me and mom operate over the years, and God knows we're not perfect or anything like that. But I would just love to know from your perspective, watching mom and I and how we operate, like just what is the feelings that you get from that?
So, as you know, like when I was younger, you guys would like kiss each other and hug each other and be like, "Yeah, that's disgusting." Kissing.
That was our goal.
But every time we would always like act grossed out and stuff like that. You'd be like, well, "Would you rather us fight and hit each other and call each other names?" And I was like, "No, I don't want that." Because I've seen, like, you guys wouldn't fight or hit each other. You guys would have disagreements or arguments. And even that I don't like, because I don't see you guys like that. But whenever I see you guys just loving on each other, I'm just like, gross, and you guys are like, it's better than us abusing each other. It's like, that's true. But ever since I've been in this relationship with my girlfriend right now, like I've understood like a lot of different things now. Like having someone to love is like a very beautiful thing. And seeing that kind of love with other people, like with you guys, or even with grandma and papa, like we're just like, that's so beautiful to look at. That's so amazing because you get to see them love on each other, not fight. Because I don't want to say that. That's no fun.
It's not. And is there, can we go just a little deeper on this one
Yeah.
for you? The funny thing is like, I knew we hit the mark when you would gross out.
Really?
Yeah, like me and mom, like I would joke with mom, I was like, my goal is to gross them out at least once a day. I was like, if we're grossing them out at least once a day, we're doing it right. But so when you would be like, yeah, it's how disgusting, I'd be like, yeah. Be like, because the thing is that I kind of wanted you to see that affection. You know, I'll tell you, I didn't learn a lot growing up when it came to a lot of things, but my grandfather showed me how to love a woman, and he never said a word.
You just watched.
I just watched. You know, the best lessons in life are caught, not taught. And I just watched him, and it was an amazing lesson. But like from a kid perspective, you know, knowing. Can I share something with you?
Yeah.
I remember being your age and starting college, and when I went away to college, and this was even beforehand. This was when I was in high school. I'd go out with my girlfriend, or I would go out with friends, and 9 out of 10 times I'd walk in on a situation where there was a lot of drinking, and you know, with my mom and whoever she was dating or married to and that kind of thing, and it was what it was. I mean, you know, that generation was heavier drinkers, but I just remember how I felt, you know, because there was always a roll of the dice of what the environment was going to be that night. Was it going to be filled with anger and tension and name calling and craziness, or was it going to be the other extreme where it was so over the top with positivity, but it wasn't positivity, if that makes sense. It was like alcohol induced happiness, which is kind of annoying when someone's like, everything in the world is great.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that, it's like I never got the norm. Like, you know, like it was either this extreme or this extreme. It was never steady. And I remember like pulling up to my house, and I would see like the lights were on, you know, and I knew that there was partying going on. And I would sit there out in my car, and I would just be like, what am I going to walk in on tonight? I don't know. Right. And I never wanted that, you know, for anybody. Like when it came to my relationship with your mom, I always wanted it to be like, I know I'm going to walk in this door and it's going to be steady. It's, you know, mom and dad are going to be okay. Like I'm not going to walk in and there's going to be like some big yelling brawl or anything like that.
Yeah.
But, so where I'm going with this question was, over time, you know, the steadiness of me and mom's relationship, did that transpire to you of like some calm
Yes.
and peace?
100%.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So like, obviously we've seen two different sides of like how you guys operate. Like I was saying, disagreements. It was never fighting. It was never beating each other up. It was never name calling. It was disagreements. Sometimes they would get a little heated, but it was never, you guys never raised your voices or anything. It was just a disagreement, and then you guys would work it out. But I have seen, like, when you get mad at our dog Bernie, and like, how like upsetting it can be. Like, but I also see like whenever you're very loving and you're goofy around everyone, you're showing love to everyone. Like here, even like my brothers, like you're just loving on them all night, and you're just showing how grateful you are. Like that is when I'm just like, okay, I'm glad I'm home. Actually, like I'm glad I'm not out. But sometimes whenever like you're at like that point where you're just like having a small disagreement, I avoid it. I don't want to get in between you guys. And like if you're dealing with Bernie, I'm just like I'm gonna wait till it cools off.
Yeah, you know, I know we're doing 3 lessons. I appreciate that. I know we're doing 3 lessons. There's one more, and I'm still working on it. And that is I'm the thermostat in this house, and I'm not the thermometer. In other words, what I think what you'll notice is when you have your own family is that the family feeds off the energy of the mom and dad, right? And at times my energy can be very fluctuating, depending on what's going on. Like sometimes, I'm very upbeat, right? I'm very happy. And other times I'm carrying a lot. Like sometimes I feel like there's 150 pounds in that rucksack.
Yeah.
And I'm one of those people where I wear my emotion on my sleeve. And to be honest, I know that energy transpires. You and I were setting up the podcast today, and I was kind of going through. I had a really rough night last night as far as like just some pains in my knee and just didn't feel right. And I woke up this morning late, and then woke up to.
I saw you text me at 7 in the morning.
I did.
Late.
Yeah.
How dare you?
I did. Yeah, I woke up an hour late, just because my sleep was kind of funky. I opened up my email and I opened up to like a buffet of problems. And I felt like it was, by the time you and I were getting ready to record this podcast, it was the death of 1,000 cuts that were kind of hurting. It was like that rucksack started with 50 pounds. And by the time we were going to get to this podcast, it was 150 pounds. And you felt that energy.
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
Because I knew, like, as soon as I came in, I was like, hey. And you're like, hey. And you were still standing at your computer doing whatever you were doing. I don't know what you were doing. And then I was like, everything okay? And you're like, yeah. I'm like, you sure? You're just like, mm-hmm. I was like, in my head, I was like, something's not right.
Yeah,
Something's off. Like, every time you say you're all right, and I can clearly tell when you're not. Okay, so you're not very good at hiding it.
I'm not. Can I share something with you, what goes on in my head, though?
Yeah.
And perhaps this is like a bonus, things I would have told myself. Because I'm really, to be honest with you, Ethan, I'm still trying to figure this one out. The thing that like, so when I'm in that state and like, a gazillion problems come my way, and then one of my kids that come into my office or they see me, the last thing that I want them to see is me stressed or me hurting or me in some sort of pain, because like I don't want to show that. I know, and this is exactly going back to asking for help earlier, but maybe it's communicating like what's going on. But I'm really figuring that one out, which is I don't want to tell you that, man, I'm hurting right now. I'm stressed right now. Like I had 15 things come my way this morning that I didn't expect. And it's my heart is kind of hurting right now, like with some things that really, really have me. And, if I could put this into some perspective for you, I want you to think for a moment when you're a firefighter and you have a family and, someone dies on your watch, and then you got to go home, and you got to be dad, and you got to be husband, and you're carrying that face in that situation of that person that lost their life right in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
And your kids are like, hey, what's going on, Dad? And you're like, hey, and they're like, what's wrong? And you're like, it's like, how do I even,
yeah,
it's almost like I'm trying to I'm trying to process through what I'm going through. How on earth do I even explain it to them?
Yeah.
Now that one's a bit of an extreme thing, but that's what I think a lot of guys go through. It's like, I'm still processing through whatever it is came my way today. And it's like, and then it's almost like, it's almost like you walk in on the shower and someone's showering and like, oh, I didn't expect for you to be in here. Because that's what I mean. It's like you walk in my office and I'm like, oh, I'm in a bad headspace. He's in here. And it's almost like I can't fake it. I'm not one of those people that can fake it. But maybe let's just figure this out right now.
Okay.
If I was better about this, like you come in my office, I want you to coach me right now. You cool with that?
Yeah.
I want you to tell me what would be ideal for me to say to you if you notice I'm in like one of those death of 1,000 cuts. You come in my office and you're like, hey man, how you doing? I'm like, I'm all right. What do you need to hear from me to know, just to bring you into the know without maybe giving you everything or boring you with details that quite frankly you probably don't care about or really want to know about. But what would be best? this is something I'm still learning. So if you could coach your dad, that would be great.
I can tell you exactly what I think you should start doing. If I can see, like, let's just use today, for example. Like, I walked in, I was like, hey, and you're like, hey, I knew something was wrong. You know how you were just saying, I don't want to bore you with details that you probably won't care about? Please, can you just tell me? Just tell me. Like, you kind of opened up today. You're just like, woke up, had a rough morning, woke up late, had a lot of problems with my emails and stuff. And I wanted more. I wanted to hear more because I feel like if you just kind of let some of
You
that
did?
go.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't tell you that, which I probably should have. And I'm telling you right now, open up to me. Just get it off your chest. What's bugging you? I don't care how much detail there is. I don't care if there's a time crunch. Just kind of, but if there is a time crunch, just kind of give it to me a little bit. You okay?
Yeah. You kind of, think about 19 years of doing this, and then you just get the simplest clarity on what you should have done, So the thing about it is, let's dive a little deeper on this one. The thing about this, there's like an ego thing, I think.
An ego thing?
Yeah. Ego meaning a lot of people, I think especially in your generation, when they hear the word ego, they think of egotistical, self-centered, cocky, like it's all about me. Ego is actually something that protects us. In other words, like, I don't want to see my son hurting, or I don't want my son to see me hurting or stressed or overwhelmed. So I'm just going to kind of like keep him here, like kind of at arm's length, and just tell him I'm okay and just leave it at that. And there's a part of me that if I told you some of the things that I'm dealing with, even though some of them are micro, some of them are super small, but they're super annoying. And some of them are kind of big, but like, I don't ever want you to think that I don't got my stuff handled. And sometimes I think as a guy and as like your dad and as your guide in life, and maybe even like somewhat of a leader to you, does that give me less credibility or does it give me more?
Well, I want you to start opening up a little bit more to me. You think you can do that?
Yeah. Can you give me an example of what that would look like? Like, so, yeah, give me an example of what that looks like.
So today, I think I know I was setting up, but I wanted to know like what is bugging you. Kind of, I feel like, and you can tell me if I'm wrong. I feel like if you just kind of let it out just a little bit, like just kind of get some of that stuff off your shoulders, I feel like that would make you feel a little bit better. Like, how would you say that's right?
I would 100%. At the same time, like, this conversation right here, dude, is really important. I think for a lot of dudes and a lot of kids, I feel like I'd be burdening you. And I know that's the story I tell myself. That's not anything that you do. Nothing. In fact, that's probably my own BS story. But what I think about is, why would I let my son in on this? Like, that's not important to his life. It's not important. Like why would I do that to him? Like, why would I bring the temperature of him down with the stuff that I'm dealing with? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Do you want to know something?
Yeah.
Burden is not the word I would use for me. Like, that wouldn't burden me at all. Um, you know what would burden me is if you didn't tell me, and it still kind of held you that grudge, and just I can still see that weight on you. I can still see it when you're around us. Like if you're, because then that's when it becomes a burden to me. I'm just like, well, now someone's in a bad mood. Someone will eventually, just like at some point, I don't even want to be around like this environment right now until you kind of take care of it. Um, and I have felt that feeling like, oh, I don't want to tell you it's gonna be a burden. To me, it's not. Okay. You don't have to feel like it's a burden anymore. Okay.
would it feel less of a burden if I kind of like let you in on it? Like it would actually feel lighter to you instead of like, man, I
Yes.
wonder like what the heck's wrong with that dude.
Yes. Because then I would like know what's going on, and that way I can be like, there, like, talk to me kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then when you open up, I'm just like, well, now we know.
Yeah.
And I can give you a big hug.
Well, the lesson is now learned, and it's it was learned live on this podcast. If I could take back 19 years of that one, maybe when I'm 60 and we have a similar conversation, what advice would you give? What are the most valuable lessons you've learned in the past 10 years? Well, I would say this one's at the top of the list if we fast forward 10 years from now. So thank you for teaching me.
Of course. I always want people to open up to me, because that way I feel like, well, it's not bothering me. I want them to feel better, because it kills me to see my friends, my girlfriend, you, mom, even my brothers, just to see them having a bad day.
Yeah.
And I feel like if they don't let it go or somehow cope with it in a way, they're never gonna, it's not gonna do any better for them or
Yeah.
for any of us around. Like, we actually, I can't remember what he said exactly, but our wrestling coaches said, yes, you know exactly who you are.
I'll tell you right now.
You know exactly who you are when we're doing this. I'm going to show it to you.
I love that guy.
I do too.
Yeah.
But
Coach
basically,
Coach Haynes, we love you, man.
yes, one of the assistant coaches, can I say his name too?
Yeah.
His name is Cornell.
Yeah.
He was like, I can't remember what he said exactly, but basically what he was saying was, don't come to practice cranky or mad, or, well, you can mad, but like don't make it other people's problems, because then it will be a rough practice for everyone else. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it was like psychology is the strongest like influence or something like that.
Yeah, your mental game, yeah.
Yeah. Like if someone, like if it's a morning practice, it's 7 in the morning, we have to get up early, and people are just like, ugh, I gotta practice. Everyone else is gonna be like, ugh, I don't want to do this. Just practice early in the morning. I don't want to do this early in the morning, because everyone else will start doing that. I've actually noticed whenever we have those practices, I don't share it to everyone else, but I'm just like, man, I don't really want to be here right now.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden, someone's just like, whoa, yeah, it's practice. It's early in the morning. We're getting a workout in. We're doing better than most people right now. Oh, other people are like sleeping in. We're working hard on the mats. We're in the weight room lifting weights. I'm just like, yeah, we're practicing. Like,
sounds like Jake Herbert showed up to your practice.
Yep, my phone just fell. Anyways.
That's okay.
But yes, that's because I like when he would come in, I'm just like, this is awesome. I love this.
Man.
But
yeah,
like, because it totally changes my mood.
it's contagious.
It is.
Yeah. Well, dude, thanks for teaching me that. Truth be told, you'll I think you'll learn this when you're a dad. Your greatest teachers are your kids, because in a lot of different ways, they see the world different. Like you just taught me. Like you just took me to freaking Mr. Miyagi school. Like I'm not kidding.
Must stay focused.
Dayo-san. But I'm not kidding. Like your kids will constantly show a mirror to your face of how you're operating. And I think kids are very raw and unconditional with their love, and they'll do that. They'll teach you a lot about yourself just by how you operate and how they're responding to you. So thank you.
Yeah, of course.
I really appreciate that.
Just talk to me.
Appreciate that. You ready to wrap this thing?
Oh, yes.
All right. So, gents, this is the end of June, and thank you so much for tuning in today. Whew, man, that was an emotional roller coaster ride, very unexpected and actually quite incredible. Listen, for all of our resources, everything we're doing, you guys can head over to thedadedge.com. Also, hey, listen, for all my guys out there who love to rate and review podcasts, I know Ethan would get a huge kick out of if you go on iTunes or Apple or wherever we're calling it these days, and you give a 5-star review and you mention Ethan's name, or on Spotify or anything else, like that would mean the world to him. It would mean the world to us especially if you're liking these father-son shows. Like mention his name, maybe mention some things that he has said that might have changed your world a little bit. That means the world to us. This podcast is for free, and the best way you can repay us is by leaving a 5-star review. So thank you for that. Also, for all my guys we talked a lot about marriage today. So you guys can go over to thedadedge.com/25 questions. That's 25 questions. What that is those are 25 intimate conversation starters that you can basically create better connection with your wife. And if you want a little more, if you're more of like, I want live and in person, we've got the Dad Edge Alliance for all my career guys out there. So if you have a 9-to-5 job, the Dad Edge Alliance is for you. We help guys with marriage, parenting, health, mindset, and finances. And then for all my business owners out there, we have the Dad Edge Boardroom. That's you have to be 100% business owner, no side hustles or anything like that. 100% business owner. We help you continue to grow and scale your business, create the marriage of your dreams, and connect with your kids. And obviously, healthy mind, healthy body, and wealth. You can head over to thedadedge.com/mastermind for those 2 paths. Gentlemen, from my heart to yours, thank you so much for tuning in today. Go out and live legendary, my friend. And you want to say anything before we head out?
Yes. Do not hold anything in. Just find someone to talk to, please.
There you go.
Please talk to someone if you're just something's bothering you. Find someone or go find something to do about it. For me, it's the gym and talking to people.
Me too. And it's interesting you mentioned that very thing. I mean, that's wrestling community.
Yes.
That's why we made the alliance. That's why we made the boardroom, so we could have that community, that brotherhood, so we don't have to go at life alone. So
yes, exactly.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in today. See you on Friday.